You're listening to the Personal Development Through Martial Arts podcast, the podcast where the world's highest personal development experts and martial arts masters come together to empower and inspire you to become your strongest self and live the life that you truly want. Join host Bogdan Rosu, author, public speaker, and the founder of the first personal development through martial arts school in the world, in the podcast where you become the hero. We're here with John Richard McElroy from the Martial Arts Chat podcast, and I'm super excited to return the favor and sit down and ask him a bunch of questions about his awesome martial arts journey. John, how are you?
I'm doing very well, my friend. Yeah, it's weird. Often I'll do this if a good guy like yourself from my show, and then returning the favour. It's weird being on the other side of things, right? But happy to be here, mate. It's a blast as always. Thank you so much for inviting me on.
Definitely. Awesome, John. So share a bit with everyone. How did you? First of all, let's start with the podcast. How did you come up with the idea of starting a podcast specific to martial arts? And I know that now you're talking a lot about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and MMA. Were you going in towards a different direction with it initially, and did you change? Because I know you have a Taekwondo background.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I suppose it is a bit scattered. I don't know if there was an initial, it's going to be about this and this is the vision going forward. I think like we were speaking of there, I'm a gentleman of 34 now, and martial arts has been in my life since like ages of like 9 or 10. So a huge part of my life has been martial arts. So if it's something you're enthused about, if it's something that you're into, and you want to share that knowledge and share opinions and things like that, then a podcast in this sort of generation is a great vehicle for that.
Absolutely.
So I guess like I don't know if I specifically wanted to be about jiu-jitsu or taekwondo, not necessarily martial arts that I had practiced in. I wanted to I'm just thirsty for knowledge. You'll know yourself. It's just like if it's something you're into and you're all about learning and expanding your mind, then let's see how far we can go with this. So 3 years I've been doing it now, and I don't know if I had that in mind that it should be a year, 6 months, 3 years. Whatever. It just keeps going.
And you've recently celebrated your 100th episode.
100 episodes, man. Yeah. Well proud of that.
Congratulations.
Thank you, man. Some of the guests we've had on have been brilliant, and obviously with yourself included as well.
Of course,
it's been so diverse. I think particularly in the last sort of when things started out, just even in anyone who's in the podcasting game, it's usually you're going to ask friends or family or associates. You're going to have people on probably that you already have a relationship and know. And once you're sort of out of that initial, for me, maybe that was like a 6 months period or whatever, then you start branching out into the unknown. I knew nothing about ninjutsu. I knew very little about Wing Chun. I knew very little about Jeet Kune Do. There's so much that I've learned just from podcasting alone. Not just being read on it or whatever, just from conversing. There's so much that I've learned. And I feel I've really benefited from podcasting. Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in your first guest on the podcast was your first Taekwondo teacher, wasn't
That's right. Yeah, man, that was a while back. Yeah, Master Robertson. It's weird because I met him recently. We stay at our towns aren't too far apart, maybe about 10 miles apart, or whatever. And I happened, just by a chance, to bump into him, but I was still bow. When I was shaking his hand,
Definitely.
It's like old habits die hard, right?
Definitely.
And it's quite funny. And then later on, Master Low and stuff. So, that goes without saying. I was sort of interviewing friends and associates and training partners and things like that were in my martial arts world. But that's right, Master Robertson. I forgot about that, man. It feels like it was a million years ago, not just 3.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Definitely. So tell us a bit about your martial arts journey. Like you started with Taekwondo. Did you try any other styles before starting your jiu-jitsu journey? What was that like for you?
Yeah, Taekwondo was. I mean, it's almost in every corner now in
Yeah.
where I, in Scotland, and I guess it's one of probably the most popular martial arts. But I had no aspirations of martial arts as a kid. I mean, I watched Ninja Turtles,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't really. I liked pizza,
Who's your
but
favorite? Who's your favorite turtle?
oh, it's got to be Raphael. Yeah,
Raphael,
I wasn't a Leonardo
the
fan.
brawler.
I'm not a fan of whoever the ultimate good guy is. I can't get behind you. You need to have a bit of dirt on you, and that's what I liked about Raphael. He
Definitely.
wasn't clean. He wasn't clean cut. You know, he was a bit rough around the edges. I'd say.
When I was a kid, I couldn't really tell the difference between them. To me, it was like the difference between the turtles were just the weapons. Oh
Right.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
I actually like Donatello because he was like the smart one of the four, right? But towards growing up, I noticed that he was actually also the dorkiest one of the four, and I was like, okay, that says a lot about my childhood.
Yeah, I suppose he's a guy you want on your team though as well, right? You definitely want someone
Yeah,
who can invent something out of nothing. Yeah, if I've
yeah.
had a team of martial artists, I'd probably put Donatello on my team for sure. Yeah.
Mm, awesome, man. So what was next after Taekwondo?
Taekwondo was from I was 10 till I was about 17 or 18 is when it sort of just petered out for me. But when I was 16, I got my black belt under Master Low, and like massive achievement for me. I was probably a better red belt than I was a black belt. Having done it for so long, and my body, developing in my teenage years, I was beginning to fill out my frame and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I'd had the 6 7 years of Taekwondo behind me. It was a wonderful thing. It gave me so much confidence. I mean, my father Bogdan, he put me into martial arts for the reason that I was a shy kid and he was worried that I would get picked on and bullied,
Yeah.
which never really did happen. But I suppose if I didn't have what martial arts gave me in Taekwondo, the confidence and the self belief and all that good stuff, if I didn't have that, then things might have turned out different. So. All credit goes to my dad, I suppose. But my early years, just to answer your question, it was just filled with nothing but Taekwondo.
Mm-hmm.
And when it came to like 17, 18, and I had friends who are now like, I'm not ashamed to say, legal age of drinking. When you see your friends, they go out to the pub,
Yeah.
meet
Yeah.
girls. That's all I really wanted to do. And training was every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Right.
So it's schooling in this, and
Right.
I was very good athletically. Track and field, football, swimming, and it all came from having a foundation of Taekwondo. I was very
Mm-hmm.
flexible,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
very fit. I would never get tired. We would do like PE class. I remember like when I was like 12 or 13, and I would run laps around everyone, never get tired, and it was all
Yeah,
because
it's like
I had the abdominal weight.
that's nothing compared to training Taekwondo.
Sure, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's high impact, and it teaches you so much more than just you can say martial arts philosophies, I guess, but I mean, the offshoot was that I was gaining confidence in things. I was gaining flexibility. I mean, all these things are just that's such a positive energy. If you if you feel in tune with your body, then I mean, this. I'm preaching to the
Mm-hmm.
choir. Your mind is a huge part of that as well, and you just feel so much better for it. But things sort of petered out. I got what I wanted to achieve. I got my black belt.
Mm-hmm.
Here,
Mm-hmm.
here comes 18. Here comes teenage years, and going out there and spreading my wild oats, I guess.
Mm, definitely, definitely. So, how did you get back in touch with martial arts? What
Yep.
was?
So strange, man, because I guess with that age, I mean, you're out and you're doing your thing. My other hobby was always music. I was always picking up a guitar. I was always sitting down at a piano, and I was really into music at school as well as like physical activities. And that's kind of what I went on to do. I was like singers and bands and stuff, performing, gigging. I went to college and then later university and got a music degree. And my whole life had just been, I'm either going to be a music teacher or I'm going to be a rock and roller. Let's just roll the dice and see where it lands. And that's where I took my chances. So martial art and Taekwondo and everything, that all took a backseat from like 18 till,
Mm-hmm.
God, man, must have been at least my mid 20s, maybe 26, 27, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'd started getting into watching mixed martial arts, and
Mm-hmm.
if I wasn't really entertained or interested in boxers or wrestlers,
Mm-hmm.
mostly because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what. But if I saw someone who threw a 360 turning kick or a side kick, a back kick, I was like, oh, that's what this is. And you know that it's ignited an old flame inside me somewhere, I guess. And from watching that, I was like, right, okay, I want to get back into martial arts, and that's when Muay Thai came around, man. And I couldn't have picked a harder martial art to start things back, because I'm a lot more unfit at this point. I'm in my mid-20s. I've had a couple of years of smoking, which I wouldn't recommend to anyone. It was the warm-up was brutal. The first couple of weeks of doing that was horrible. Beneficial.
But you know what? I don't know. Maybe it's like my personal opinion, but I feel like Muay Thai is much better going on forward, because you have that benefit of using these low kicks, because like the further you go on, right, the less flexible you become with age.
Sure.
Whereas Muay Thai, you have the benefit of grounding yourself and just generating so much power, and actually having better bone density. Higher bone density is a huge advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, and endurance was, I mean, it's ridiculous that if anyone's listening or watching, if you've never done a Muay Thai class, prepare yourself for,
Die.
you know, throwing up, you name it, man, right? It is tough. It's tough. The warm-up is often the most brutal part of it. And I guess the idea is, I mean, depending on what your school or your coach or whatever is, but if you can get through that warm-up, then you can always fight. You can always train when you're tired, or there is no room for tired. I guess that's meant to be the mentality. Yeah, it's that first an hour's class, that first 10 minutes can feel like a lifetime. And you know, it feels like it's never going to end, and it is hard, man. It's very hard, but so beneficial. And I only maybe did it for 6 months, if I'm honest. I don't even think it was as much as a year. But I mean, like, my lung capacity was, I could take a big deep breath again. It opened doors that have been shut for a long time in my life, and then I started getting back into stretching, into yoga, and it opened up all these other avenues that were either closed before or had never been opened. Muay Thai was a great thing in my life.
You know, I'm sure that a lot of people listening in who have done martial arts at some point in their lives, but they got kind of sidetracked with their career, their businesses, and they love listening into this podcast just for, you know, the love of getting back in touch with that vibe of martial arts, with that attitude, that energy. What would you say to somebody who is in this situation, who is thinking, you know what, it would be great to start training again, but I don't know if I can find the time right now. I don't know if it's the right time in my life right now.
Yeah, it's a good question, man, and we've all got stuff going on. You know, like I'm training for a competition just now. Both my wife and I work full time. We've got a 3-year-old son. We've got another baby on the way. A pregnant wife is never.
Congratulations!
Yeah, thank you, man. But I was going to say, you can't negotiate with a pregnant wife. They'll let you know when what's up.
Is she competing?
No. She
You're
doesn't
competing.
Compete. No. She doesn't compete.
So I think I misheard you.
So just with a lot of things going on in people's lives, and you know, I'm no stranger to that. I'm the same, and I'm a full-time teacher, and I've got podcasts and lots of other things on, and loads of people have got lots in their life. How do you find time for martial arts, was your question, and it's whether you want or not. To be honest with you, man, what I would say, if anyone's listening to this, if you feel you have to force martial arts into your life and there's no benefit, don't do it. Find another avenue. It doesn't have to be martial arts, but certainly find something positive and beneficial. In my experience, and I'm sure in yours, Bogdan, and many other people in our circles, martial arts is nothing but a huge positive in our lives. And if you can make that connection, like what both Bogdan and I have of martial arts, and using that to further yourself, better yourself, then you have find time. You got to find the time. There's times where, I don't know, man. Everyone has their lazy moments. I'm no stranger to that as well. You just got to make it work, man.
I don't believe it.
Exactly right. I mean, I feel like I do a million things at once, but there's always room for more. There's always room for more in everybody's life, and if you're able to do it, then you can make time to do it. So it's whether you want. So that it's got to come from the want and the desire first. Because if there's no want or desire, don't waste your time with it, man. Don't waste your time. Find something else.
Absolutely. John, let me ask you, what was like one of your favorite episodes that you've done on the Martial Arts Chat podcast?
Oh man, that's a great question. Apart from yourself, obviously,
Obviously, what are you gonna say now, right now?
That's it, mate. I don't know. I think I love the fact that there's been there's been so much variety in it. I mean, we do live shows every other Sunday, and it's just like talking with your buddies over a beer. What fights did you see the weekend? And we answer fan questions. Those are fun. But then I'll have like one-to-one interviews. Like recently, I interviewed. So I interviewed Eric Paulson, which was probably one of my favourites that I did. For those that don't know, Eric Paulson set up the combat submission wrestling system. He's a black belt in judo, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, jeet kune do. His sensei's Duru, Dan Inosanto. He's all from that world. Learned so much, not just in martial arts, just in speaking to him. I mean, the guy's very spiritual. He blesses and touches the mat and all these kind of things, which is weird because I know him as watching YouTube videos of him when he was fighting in Japan in a cage. You know, it's like people forget that these people are actually martial artists, and they have it's like a belief system. They have a strong belief in what they practice and what they teach as well. Other guests can be things like Robin Black was one of my favourite. He was a commentator for mixed martial arts. But everything's all about philosophy with him. You would love to have a chat with him. He would be great for you. Big fan of Bruce Lee. Be Like Water is on almost every T-shirt that he wears. He's a really interesting guy and someone that's so enthused about it. I love hearing people, the way they talk, like you can tell that that's part of everything in his life. It comes across at spades with a guy like that.
Talk to us a bit about that. I mean, when you think about MMA, you just think of two guys in their underwear, like that's the common perception, right? Two guys in their underwear just beating the crap out of each other. What do people get wrong about MMA, and what's it really about? Hey, sorry to interrupt the interview. I'll let you get back to it in a moment. Let me just ask you, do you want more financial freedom in your business so that you have time for the important things in your life? Would you like to level up your business and become a black belt in business success? Let me help you. I will personally take a look at your business and show you exactly how you can make it more profitable so that you enjoy more financial freedom and more time with your loved ones. Get in touch with me over social media. Links are in the description. Send me a message with the text Business Breakthrough, and we will schedule an appointment, and you will get a free coaching session where I teach you exactly how to make your business more profitable without putting in more hours. And this is going to be only for the first 5 people who get in touch with me this week. So check the description, get in touch with me on social media, send me a message with the text Business Breakthrough, and let me help you take your business to the next level.
Yeah, I suppose that would be just two people that go bludgeon each other to death. And I mean, that is part of the game. It is like you've got to have that mentality. You've got to have a kill or be killed. Speaking as someone who's never practiced in mixed martial arts, but martial arts that make up the mix, I guess, and being around plenty of guys doing a gym, it takes a special human being. I believe. I liken it to someone who goes and fights fights for their country or whatever. Someone in the military. It's that. It's not something that I've done myself. I can perhaps relate, perhaps empathize, but I've never actually been a practitioner, so I'm only speaking like second-hand point of view. But yeah, I mean, you're right to ask that. It does just seem like two guys looking to beat each other up in their underwear, that's for sure. But these people, men and ladies, are well versed in lots of different arts, of not just grappling, not just striking, of breathing, of balance, of psychology,
meditation, so much visualization.
Absolutely, yes. It takes in all these facets, and it takes in all these facets when there's a contest. It's almost like winning or losing. I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but it's not like that's the most important thing. You'd be surprised, but if you look at almost all accomplished mixed martial artists, they've got like 10, 15 losses on their record. So you take someone who's like boxing's been around and in the mainstream for a lot longer. You get guys who've never beaten 30 fights, so they're testing themselves all the time. They're putting themselves in the jaws of defeat almost every training session. And
I think it's a different philosophy also for the fans because like for boxing, from what I know, if you're not like 20, 30, 40 and 0, like you haven't been defeated, then you're not really there. You're not really the top, right? Whereas in MMA, the fans kind of expect that, you know what, anything can happen. There's a lot of variables. You can get submitted, you can get knocked out, you can get there's plenty of ways that the match would go, right? So they're more lenient in that sense, and appreciating fighters in MMA. And the McGregor and Habib fight is coming up on the 6th.
Yes,
What's
indeed
your
it
prediction,
is.
John?
Man, it's so hard to predict. We're not that far away. Yeah, it's what are we looking at, a week on Sunday now. It's a tough one because you do have a clash of styles. In the early days of UFC and MMA, you did have, striker versus grappler. You did have kickboxer versus jiu-jitsu. It was, two styles meeting. And nowadays in martial arts, like I said, these guys are clued up in almost all facets of the game. But with this fight, I think what makes it interesting is, yes, they have skills in all these departments. Of course they do. The top end of that game. But you've got one, if not the best grappler, going against probably the best knockout artist for all these, pantomime and show, and I get that, it turns people off. All that to the side, if you're talking about, display inside a cage, a ring, an octagon, a mat, whatever the arena is, these guys have got their craft sharpened and honed to perfection. Khabib Nurmagomedov is probably the most terrifying grappler in the world right now, and you've got a man in Conor McGregor who's coming back to the mixed martial arts world. But as he's quite rightly said, almost anyone that stepped in front of his left hand haven't been able to take it. You look at that man, okay, yes, he has skills in Taekwondo, he has skills in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but he has a core there. It's almost like gypsy boxers from where he comes from where I understand. They're just harder than a coffin nail, for want of a better phrase. It's just, they're made from something else. And the same with Khabib. These gentlemen from Dagestan are just, it seems to be, I mean, they're training with bears, for goodness sake. I don't know if you've seen that video where his training session is grappling with a bear. I've grappled with some terrifying gentlemen and some terrifying hairy gentlemen. I ain't never going to grapple with a bear. You can forget that. It's not happening. So these guys, like I said, man, there's a switch up here that's completely different from traditional martial arts.
I haven't seen that video. So he's actually grappling a bear, like an actual animal, a bear.
I'll get it to you. It blew my mind.
I'm googling that right now after finishing this interview. Dude, I don't know. Like I watched some of Khabib's fights, and like once he gets hold of you, it's game over.
You step into his world. There was a fight, I believe it was his most recent fight against a guy called Edson Barbosa. Edson Barbosa, I'm a big fan of because he's Taekwondo. I always have a fondness for anyone who's throwing, the spinning, different techniques, balls, feet. And he was doing well for the first 30 seconds. And in mixed martial arts, is a 5-minute round. And like you said, man, as soon as he locked his hands and grappled him, got hold of him, you just knew, oh no, this is you stepping into his world now. It's over. Forget it. Taekwondo ain't going to work here. Forget it.
I don't see Conor getting away from that. Like if he steps in, woof.
It's going to be very different indeed. Absolutely.
Oof.
That's going to be a great fight. I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Definitely. Awesome. John, what would you say would be your favorite martial arts related story that you can share with us?
Favorite martial arts related story? That's a great question. Well, aside from this morning when I was rolling Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and I popped my knee out, put it back in, I don't know if that's probably on the other end of the scale. I guess when I'm younger, because they're character building stuff, I can remember being in competitions and at the ages of like 14, 15, you could say they're delicate years, but I've been doing Taekwondo for about 4 or 5 years at that point. I'd done several competitions. I knew what to expect. And it's like anything else. I mean, it is a sport. It's a combat sport, of course, but it's still a sport. And if you've got a good coach in your ear, if you've got someone who can inspire you with words, to transform whatever poor performance you're turning into a great performance. And I had loads of those, and I have Master Lo to thank for all of that. Master Lo was a gentleman from Malaysia who brought Taekwondo, his style of Taekwondo, to Scotland at some point, late 80s, early 90s. But he was also a physiotherapist, sort of by trade. and was quite popular amongst like soccer, football scene, and he
Mm-hmm.
knew how to manipulate joints. He had a vast understanding of the human anatomy, and I think that's what made him, for me anyway, such a great influence. But also how he conducted himself, how he spoke. I mean, I look at Taekwondo schools, and I don't want to single out Taekwondo schools, but I look at martial arts schools for kids now, and it's very yes sir, no sir, and you can debate on that all you want. I don't know if that's a positive influence. Master Low in the 7 years that I trained under him never shouted. I never heard him raise his voice once, and it's almost like he didn't need to. He was so how you just get those personas that are just commanding of a room. When they walk in the room, like everyone knows, like that kind of thing turns heads, and he was that guy. And almost everything, like you wanted to just sit under that tree of knowledge. I wanted to absorb it all. Still do to this day. If I met him just now, I would be, let's go for coffee and tell me all. I probably still bow as I shake his hand. Just tell me all. He was such a great. I know that's not a specific story, I guess, but I've got nothing but good things to say about that guy. And later on, now in my 30s, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm a blue belt under Professor Marcus Nardini, and he's a very similar character. Originated from Brazil, came over to Scotland, does his teachings here. But again, not a guy that I ever see Bogdan losing his temper. Not a guy that he's almost so chilled, but so skilled. Like so,
I love that.
So skilled in the art of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It doesn't need to be me, and I really appreciate that.
I love that so much. I saw like, because sometimes you share the space with the martial arts teachers when you're using like a gym, and some teachers actually have kids classes and they scream, they yell at the kids. That's cringe worthy. I'd never let my kid in a class like that, right? So guys, if you are teaching martial arts and you are dealing with kids and it's a bit difficult to to control it, you need to step into a different type of identity. It's not the kids. It's just you feeling more centered and more grounded with who you are. And it's not easy. I tried teaching kids as well, and I was like, after like 2 months, I was like, okay, forget this.
Yeah,
Forget it, right? So
I mean, it's
much
hard.
respect.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's I mean, I taught kids taekwondo for years, and I'm a primary school teacher now. But yeah, I mean, it is, if you've got a large group of, especially, I mean, let's be honest, a lot of them are going to be there because they're active kids.
Yeah.
So you've got a lot of kids running, screaming about for an hour and a half or whatever it is, and then you've got the next one coming in and the hour after that. I suppose you have to be structured and disciplined, but to me, I was never the shouty and screamy guy because my teachers weren't, and I'd like to think that I passed that on to the kids that I was teaching, and it's philosophy in it, man. It's whatever you learned. What's that Bruce Lee one where it's like keep what works for you and get rid of whatever doesn't. It's whatever I learned there that works for me. I'm going to pass that on to the generation that I teach. Try to do the right thing, man.
Brilliant. I love that. So what's the direction that you're going with the Martial Arts Chat podcast?
What's the direction then, man? I don't know. I was looking at it, I mean, I have to look at it and guess in this milestone way because we've reached 100 episodes, and I was thinking, do I want to bring other people in? Do I want to keep going myself? Because the majority of this, I mean, all the broadcasts are me. I've got people who help me out, journalists and that kind of thing. It helped me out with, the website side of things, the social media type side of things. But when it comes to the voice you hear on Martial Arts Chat, it's all me, baby. So I don't know, perhaps as things are growing as they have now, we're up to 70,000 subscribers now. I mean, it's grown so fast in such a short space of time. Perhaps the next step to look at would be to sort of branch out and see who's out there like-minded and someone we can grow with together. But yeah, I mean, continue to get fun guests on. If I'm not having fun, I'm not doing it. And to be honest, there was a time when I was maybe the first year where I thought, well, this will kind of do is nothing specific, nothing really triggered me off. It was just like, well, this has been fun. I should probably wrap this up now. And then I thought, no, I'm going to make a point of doing more shows, interviewing people from different walks of life. Okay, that can be martial art related, but like I had Sean Vigo on, who was a yoga fitness instructor. It's not a guy preparing for a fight, so I'm not in the mode of how's weight cutting been? Are you looking forward to your opponent? He said this about you. I didn't feel like same oldie with the questions and clientele and that going on. So variety, I think, is definitely a way going forward.
I had the feeling as well when I started. This was initially the Wing Chun podcast, right? And after doing like a dozen interviews, it just felt like the same questions, same answers. But yeah, absolutely. Once I started to get into stuff that I was also interested in like building businesses, like understanding mindset, like nutrition, like just getting in touch with people in different fields, you definitely expand your awareness, and you do start to have a lot more fun with
Yeah,
it.
yeah, absolutely. And that's the main thing, right? We're doing this, Bogdan, because we enjoy it and we're having fun with it. And I think that comes across to the listener, to the viewer.
Mm-hmm.
If they pick up that vibe. If they see, if this, oh, look, this guy's into this, then I'm into it too. If you're enthused about it, then the people listening, watching, they're going to be enthused about it as well. We hope they're going to be enthused by proxy as well, I guess.
Definitely. Awesome, John. It's been really fun having you, and I'm very
Namaste.
I'm very happy that we did like a video interview this time, that I got a chance to actually
Yeah.
I love it. I usually prefer doing video because it gives it's more interactive, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
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 I guess you're right.
yeah. And thanks for having me on your show.
Anytime, my friend. Please come on. We'd love to have you back on. I've got lots more Bruce Lee questions for you. We only had a couple last time.
Well,
We always do
I'm no
fine
Bruce Lee
questions.
expert.
So, we loved you having on the last time. But I've got many more questions. We touched briefly on a book I was reading at the time, which I've just finished now.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Watkins' The Art of Learning.
Mm.
I think Josh Watkins, he was a Tai Chi practitioner, was that right? But he was a chess master first, and they liken the two. So yeah, it'd be good to sort of pick your brains about that kind of stuff. And yeah, man, you're welcome anytime.
That'd
You know
be
that, my
fun.
friend.
That'd be fun. Guys, definitely tune in for our next interview together, probably on the Martial Arts Chat podcast. Let us know your thoughts. And oh yeah, John, before you go, one question for everybody tuning in.
Yes, sir.
So what is one question that you'd like to ask our audience?
One question I'd like to ask your audience.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Since we're on the subject of Bruce Lee, what is your favorite Bruce Lee quote? That's what I'll ask.
I love that. And don't send over that image with half the stuff that you quote me on I never said previously.
I've seen that one. Yeah. Some truth to that too.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome, John.
Super.
Thank you so much, and guys, thanks again for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Until then, let us know what is your favorite Bruce Lee quote. Bye bye. Hey, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. And if you're ready for more financial freedom, for more time to spend with your loved ones, or doing what you're really passionate about, send me a message over social media, connect with me, links are in the description, and I will give you a free business breakthrough session where I will show you exactly how you can make your business more profitable so that you live a happy and fulfilled life with your loved ones. I'll see you soon.